This week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead was a nice change because original cast members got to lead an episode. We followed Luciana and Daniel for a change, which was pretty nice. Let's review it. What's going on, Walking Dead family? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, the Viking. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for a brand new video every single day. As I said in the intro, this week's episode was different. It was unique because original cast members got to lead an episode. We are 7 seasons in and there's not too many original cast members left, and sometimes they're just thrown to the side, especially Luciana and Daniel. But in this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead, Luciana and Daniel get to take center stage. Let's get into this review by TVinsider.com. I will give my thoughts, and you guys get into the comment section below and give your thoughts. Daniel's memory loss is guiding him to believe his daughter, Ofelia, is still alive. And because he'll do anything to find her, that's a real liability for Team Morgan. In fact, Daniel's unreliable memory gets himself, Luciana, and Wes into some pretty sticky situations throughout Ofelia, directed by the actress that plays Alicia in the series. It's an hour that pulls heavily from the show's first 3 seasons. We get references to Daniel's dark past, Nick Clark and his relationship with Luciana, Strand and Daniel's history, and even the Abigail. It also puts Luciana at the centre of the action, something fans had long been calling for, and forces her to make a decision many might disagree with. As the episode opens, Luciana helps Daniel with his memory by quizzing him with flashcards. The one he sees is of a boat, which is absolutely relevant later when he feels it's a sign that he has to find his deceased daughter Ofelia, who he says he last saw on a boat. That's not right, and Luciana knows it. Ofelia died in season 3 after being bitten on her side, and she and her father never spoke after the show's 2nd season. But Daniel wandering off to find his child leads him, Luciana, and Wes to be captured by Arno and his people. They want information about where the weapons are that Morgan's team is tracking down. They're willing to drop them into a horde of walkers inside a metal cage to get this intel. No one's willing to talk at first, but when Wes is threatened, Daniel speaks up. He's been noticing a boat at the edge of Arno's people's territory, which he believes is the Abigail. He thinks Arno has Ofelia, and he's willing to give over the location of the weapons if Arno gives him Ofelia unharmed. Arno goes along with it, telling him he does have his daughter, and that he can see her once he gives him the info. So Daniel, ignoring Luciana's warnings, does. The trio get thrown in a cell while Arno sends people out to verify the information is good. It isn't, as Daniel explains. He gave them utterly wrong information to get some of Arno's people out of the way so they can fight their way out. But first he says he has to find Ofelia. Luciana continues to try to tell Daniel that Ofelia is dead, but he won't believe it. And it's not until they break out and go to the boat and find it empty that Daniel realizes his daughter truly isn't there. Enraged, he tracks down Arno and feeds him to the walkers in the same cage torture chamber the guy had Wes in earlier. Luciana and Wes, who arrive too late to do anything about it, pull Arno up to ask him about the pit of walkers he found at the end of 709. Turns out those walkers are radioactive to the point where you can't touch or even go near them. And Arno just wanted to get his people to the tower so they could be safe. He's in extremely bad shape at this point. Walkers ate all the skin off his legs, and he dies. The thing about Daniel's memory loss, as explained in this episode, is that it's less severe when he has something to focus on. His intense focus on Ofelia helped him. But now that he knows she's gone, he doesn't have that focus and won't be able to help much with the war. Luciana knows how vital his information about Strand is for their side to succeed. So she makes an upsetting decision. She lies to Daniel, telling him that Arno told her Strand has Ofelia in his tower. Even though Daniel says there'll be nothing left of him if he loses Ofelia again, Luciana maintains that it's true. That's when Wes, sickened and angered by Luciana's manipulation, leaves. Luciana and the rest of Arno's people, who she managed to convince to join Morgan's side, head back to the submarine. Morgan and his friends have the weapons, so all is well there. And now they have a force to fight too. Daniel knows how Strand thinks, so he'll be a valuable resource. But it will remain to be seen what he will do when he realizes how Luciana lied to him. Across the wasteland, Wes has decided which side he's on. He goes to Strand's tower and picks up the phone, telling the operator that he wants to make a deal with Strand to help save the tower. Oh no, Wes. This is my favourite episode of the season, and one of my favourite episodes since season 4. I'm still not super fond of the memory loss story for Daniel, but what the writers did with Luciana in this episode was excellent. She not only had something to do, but she also made a complicated decision that wasn't just about doing the right thing or helping people. This is the fear I loved. I wouldn't be surprised though if Luciana doesn't survive this season. Daniel was very clever with Arno, that if he was lying, he'd kill him. Daniel doesn't think Luciana would lie to him, so he doesn't have to make that threat. But I'm sure it all still stands. And we see in this episode what happened to Arno. That said, it would be such a bummer if Daniel killed Luciana. It would be nice if all the current original cast was around when Madison comes back, especially since Luciana had a relationship with Nick, who's no longer around. Speaking of the original cast, this episode was directed by the actress that plays Alicia, and this was her debut in directing. She did an excellent job with several scenes. Ones that stood out to me were when Wes, Luciana and Daniel were talking in the cell, and when Daniel and the group talked to Arno as he was dying. The potential deaths list this season just keeps growing longer. Currently we have Alicia, since she still has some kind of weird sickness. Luciana because she lied to Daniel. Charlie because she has this incurable radiation poisoning. And Wes because he just betrayed everyone. And that's not counting other potential deaths that might happen, but have less foreshadowing. Okay, that was a review from TVinsider.com. Very, very good review. And yeah, I agree with a lot of this. The actress that plays Alicia directing this episode, fantastic job. I really liked her directing style. I wasn't too fond of the Daniel storyline either, but I think this episode has elevated this storyline because of the decision that Luciana makes at the end of the episode. She knows that Daniel is better focused when he has something to focus on. And now that he realizes that Ofelia is gone forever, he is going to be very forgetful and very sick with his memory loss. But they need him in this last fight against Strand for the tower, for this safe haven. And they need him. So she lies to him now so they can live in luxury later. But it may tarnish their friendship. It may tarnish them just being around each other, and it could lead to Daniel snapping because of this and actually turning around and killing Luciana or even other people because he is so crazy, because now he thinks again that Ofelia is alive and that Strand has her. And Strand and Daniel have this rivalry going on for years. They know each other very, very well. But if Morgan wants to succeed in his war against Strand, he is going to need Daniel. And not just Daniel, but a focused Daniel. And that's the decision that Luciana makes in this episode. It may seem like the right decision for them to win, but it actually could end up being a bad decision if they lose. So that's a very interesting theme that's going to run throughout these last few episodes of Fear the Walking Dead Season 7. And for me, that decision by Luciana has elevated the entire story going in to these last few episodes. And that's great for a character who is sidelined a lot of the times and doesn't have much to do, even though she is an original cast member for Fear the Walking Dead. I also think the actor who plays Daniel did a fantastic job in this episode. His performance, in his motivation to get his daughter back, I really like that. And Arno as a side villain has died. I did predict this last week. It was probably coming anyway, but he is gone. He is dead right now as well. And the Pit of Walkers, he wasn't really going to use them for any benefit. It may be Strand who wants to use them, because Arno was actually scared of the Pit of Walkers and wanted to get his people to the tower ASAP because he was scared. And he should be. These walkers, because of the nuclear bomb, are kind of radioactive zombies, which is very, very scary as well. But this episode, I don't know personally if it's my favorite so far. I don't know. Maybe it is. I think it's better than last week's one, but it was a solid episode. Really, really good. And I'm looking forward to seeing next week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead. Guys, what's your thoughts on this episode? Thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, get into the comment section, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you for a brand new video every single day, but episode 12 of Fear the Walking Dead next week. And just to say, guys, I appreciate the love on the channel. I appreciate the views, the thumbs up, the subscriptions, your feedback. It means a lot, and it's awesome to be a part of the Walking Dead family. Thanks again for watching the video, guys, and I will see you in the next one.